My name is Lazarus Mungure. I live in Keitaram. I was living in here and my wife was living in Zimbabwe. When she came over, she was very, very ill. So she went into hospital at St. George's in Tooting, where I was living then. They carried out several tests on her, and they asked if they could test her for HIV. And she was tested and she turned positive. I had not experienced any symptoms of HIV. I was living a normal life. I had no problems at all. And so on hearing the news, I thought, oh, I think I need to find out what my situation was. So the staff at the hospital talked to me about whether I was willing to have the test. And I accepted and went through the test. Waited a couple of weeks to get my results, and they were positive. I wasn't surprised because my wife had tested positive earlier. I was aware it existed, but since I had no symptoms and had no health problems, I did not expect that I had HIV. But I was aware of HIV because the country where I come from, I have known relatives and friends who had died of HIV. When I was diagnosed, it comes as a shock, even though you might be expecting it. And the reality that you have to live with it for life is rather daunting. But once I overcame that, my passion was to try and educate as many people as I can. So I've been involved in quite a lot of activities which promote awareness to the general public for people living with HIV. When I started taking the medication, there were side effects that were very embarrassing and did affect my normal routine. But with time, I learned mechanisms of how to cope. The major side effects with the first one that I had was diarrhea and loose stool, which would come, at the most awkward of situations and would really, put you in a bad spot. The drugs that we are using are relatively new. We might not know the full extent of what effect they might have on other parts of the body. I have to take my medication every day, and it is for life, so that I maintain the drug levels in me, which will control the replication of the virus. And the other major issue is restrictions that are put by some countries, particularly Australia, where you cannot go to settle because you are HIV positive, and most of the Arab countries you cannot go to settle. And until recently, the United States, they were very strict about HIV, so it sort of narrowed one's chances and opportunities of developing perhaps one's career. It took me a while to disclose, because I wasn't sure of the reaction that I would get from certain members of the family. But there were members of the family whom I knew had knowledge of people within the family that had the disease and had died from it. So to those members, it was easy for me to disclose, because I'd experienced their reaction to other members of the family who had suffered the same disease. I have 2 children, one in the late 20s, one in the early 20s. I hope to see my grandchildren.